Listen to this. This is from Nightline last night. And Mike Bouchard on with us, Oakland County Sheriff. We're talking about the latest horrible tragedy in Texas. Nightline did a story, and their whole focus on this piece was on teens since COVID and why we're seeing more and more teens that are buying weapons and making threats on social media. And they found that 2 in 5 teens feel hopelessness since the pandemic. And here's a therapist that they had on last night.
Statistic of COVID being particularly difficult for teens, increases in mental health concerns, increases in depression, increases in suicide, domestic violence across the board. We're just dealing with a massive epidemic of consequences coming from a very difficult 2 years. And unfortunately, one of the ways in which this seems to manifest is through these targeted violence and terroristic type of attacks. And unfortunately, the federal government and all the experts I talk to tell us that we should expect to see more of this.
Do you believe that, Mike, because of what took place?
It's absolutely true. We're seeing more anger, quick anxiety to flashpoint kind of things. Road rage shootings are up. It's not just teens. It's across the spectrum. People are fighting in Target over a shopping cart. I mean, we see it every day on the calls that we're responding to. And that's where I go to. We need to have more mental health professionals in the community that can help people that are processing isolation, anxiety, fear, all of the things that sometimes are trigger points.
Yeah. The statistic killed me that I saw last night that just the ages 18 to 20 commit 1/5 of all gun homicides, but they only make up 4% of the U.S. population.
It's unbelievable.
Well, and we also know, even prior to COVID, that the suicide rate and anxiety in teenagers was huge, and we need to do more to address that. But that all goes, again, to mental health and support services and, a variety of things where we talk to each other.
Mike,
I got to jump off.
Yeah, I know. Go, Mike. I appreciate you so much. Sheriff Mike Bouchard from the Oakland County Sheriff's Department. I appreciate you going on with us. Now, last time this was a story, it was him that was the focal point. Now, obviously, there's a new sheriff or new person that's on. And I'm telling you, the other thing, too, is I hate to say this because we're in it. I think that I don't have proof of this, but I think media covering these things like as crazy as they cover them, including us, brings on the opportunity for copycats. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what the exact statistic is of that or if that's proven, but in my heart, I just believe that it's one after another after another. It's the way to go out and be famous, mm-hmm. or to go out and end your life in a way that your life was already, you were struggling in your life as it was. Mm-hmm. And I think social media is also a play too. Listen, I think guns, there's got to be something that comes into play here with background checks or eliminating certain guns. And listen, I'm a person that we own guns, but I'm believing that along with the mental health that comes into play, with social media coming into play. Social media makes things worse. I think the whole thing is worse. And the only thing that I say is, look at the kids that are dying. Look at these young kids.
Oh, it's killing me.
Do it all. Do everything. Do everything. I don't care at this point. I don't want to send my kid to school and have to tell her, hey, Daddy, I shouldn't be scared to send my kid to school.
Which I was this morning.
Yes.
I slept with the kids last night. I had the freaking hardest time leaving my bed today. Like, this is just, I feel like I'm very quiet as we talk about this because I can't.
It's anxiety.
I have severe anxiety. And Lucy has an outdoor event at school today, and that's all I can think about is they're outside. They're outside all day.
And imagine
just full access.
Imagine the fear that we have as parents. Imagine the fear that our kids have.
Oh, I know. I had to talk to her. Yeah, I'm off.
I was just listening to our Oxford High School broadcast yesterday for a project I was doing for our boss, and I was sitting in our production room thinking how thankful I am that my daughter graduates high school next weekend after a dozen years of evacuation and lockdown drills and Alice training and all the scary, tough conversations that Shannon and Mike have to have with their kids every time this happens. And it's insane that as we're about to celebrate the 10-year anniversary of Sandy Hook, the only noticeable change is how we train our kids to hide and barricade the doors and fight back. And that was the solution, to literally put the responsibility on third graders to figure it out.
And not to be a downer, but you can't even go to a grocery store and shop on a Saturday without the fear of something like that happening.
I don't trust my neighbors anymore, like my community.
Listen,
That's crazy. Crazy.
All I can say is the feeling that we have right now and the anger that we have right now can't just end in the next day or so when the next story comes into play. It's gotta continue, and it's got to continue to a point where the people that can make changes make the changes.
Yeah, we have to funnel this anger, frustration, and sadness, and look past people who are saying word salad or thoughts and prayers and just saying empty words, and say, who's got solutions? Who's putting something on the table? Because something has to change, and everybody knows that. But what are you going to do? The people that we put in charge, what are you going to do to make change?